A blessing. Perseverance is your ally, General. Shall I continue my story?
Continue.
Sigrun, mightiest of the Valkyries, saw me in action and thought I had potential. Wanted to train me in the ways of the sisterhood. But I wasn't so sure. A knack for violence is one thing, but serving a higher cause, taking on the responsibility of choosing the slain, me, Gunnar of Blackheart Alley? For once, I hesitated. I couldn't make myself believe it. But Sigrun told me to put everything out of my mind and put the work. Mastering each new skill. Discovering what I was truly capable of through discipline and focus. Letting excellence be its own reward really opened my eyes. But we'll wrap it up next time, okay?
Glad to see you back, Kratos. Perhaps you are finding a truth similar to the one I discovered so long ago. That as we desire to project peace in the world, it becomes necessary to honor and satisfy the fighter within us. Valhalla remains available to you as you need it. As do I.
I will see you soon, Tyr.
I do not doubt it.
Kratos, about this boat captain. If you needed his key to save others, why does it seem to bother you so? Your actions in this case seem justified.
The captain was swallowed by the Hydra before I was able to kill it. When I entered its maw to retrieve the key, the captain had somehow survived, dangling over a fall that would surely kill him. I saw the terror in his eyes as he fought to hold on, and then relief when he believed I would save him. Instead, I took the key and dropped him to his death. And it was all for nothing. The women were dead by the time I reached them.
Oh, guess I'm sticking around this time. So, this is what Valhalla made of your memories of Greece? Brother, what is this boat exactly?
One of many ships on the Aegean Sea destroyed by a three-headed sea serpent that plagued my fleet.
Anything noteworthy about this area, brother?
It was the Forum of Hercules on Mount Olympus. It was here I fought and killed my half-brother.
Given Zeus's reputation, I'm sure you had plenty more of them to spare. What's this inhospitable place?
The Desert of Lost Souls, near the city of Athens. I crossed it in my search for Pandora's box.
I thought you might be back. There's always something more worth working out in the mind, isn't there? Happy to oblige. Blood for blood, Ruira!
Blood on! Here they come!
Hang time! Those who have fallen, carry me!
Look out! Mir's using them to heal!
There's the fire! Good, Kratos! Come on! Come on! Come on! I yield, Kratos.
Hard fought.
Yet another well-earned victory under your belt. Safe travels on your journey, friend.
Air.
Use this. As you embody resilience and embrace change, Valhalla provides. Would you care to hear more of my story?
Go ahead.
If you remember, I had shunned my father's herbal medicine after it failed to save him. I left my village and moved to the city. I scraped and scrounged, managed to survive, and became an apprentice to a renowned mage healer. I soaked up everything I could from her, and I was a natural, it turns out. Shedding my father's legacy came easy. In fact, I'd acquired quite the distaste for it. I cut herbal medicine out of my life completely. It was this rigidness that would prove the biggest mistake of my life. But I'll stop there for now.
Gunnar.
Please, accept this. Never doubted you'd get there. How about we finish up my story?
Go ahead.
Last time I was telling you how Sigrun helped me harness my anger and hone my skills. Training with her and my other future sisters, I never felt so challenged. Never felt such belonging. But part of me still couldn't believe I deserved to be there. All that community and purpose and meaning could be mine. If only I could master the one enemy I was afraid to face.
Yourself.
Damn right. I had to stop telling myself the story of all I could never be because of where I came from. When I focused instead on my intentions and my preparation, that's when I truly mastered myself. But I'm not telling you anything you don't know. And it's not as though there weren't more trials ahead, more to overcome and master. My point is, I get why you're doing this, and I truly wish you luck.
Thank you, Gunnar. Sigrun, how fare you and your sisters?
With just the three of us to attend to the fallen now, we're short-handed. But we've begun recruiting new shield maidens.
Well, I happen to know of one lass who'd jump at the chance to join your ranks.
You mean Thrud? Sif and Thor's daughter? Believe me, I know. She sought us out before the call even left our lips.
She fights well, and can be trusted.
A recommendation from you, General. With that, how could we ignore her? Not that she'd let us.
Ah, the key again.
We will talk later. You and Sigrun. I am still waiting for the part where you spoke.
In my defense, I only told her the truth as it struck me in the moment. I told her my feelings for her were deep as Rand's Hall and had been for as long as I'd known her. But just then a kind of revelation came over me. A sudden cold clarity that it was vanity to imagine that I, as I am, could be enough for her as she is. So I heard myself tell her that I didn't think I could give her what she needed.
Now, I am mad at you.
Pile on, brother. I deserve it. Brother, you've told me many times of mortals you killed when in the god's service. What is it about this boat captain?
It would have cost me nothing to show him mercy. His life was in my hands. To be so casually cruel, This man did nothing to me, and I treated his life as nothing. He was not a god who'd manipulated me nor bound me in service. I cannot hide behind my thirst for revenge. He was just a man afraid for his life, attacked and swallowed by a monster he had no hope of defeating. But the Hydra was just an animal. I showed him what a true monster looked like.
We meet once more, Ghost of Sparta.
Why do you still return?
Oh, did you think resolving your little issue would make me suddenly disappear from your mind? Oh no, Kratos. I'll always be here. You want me here. Because I'll never let you forget what you did. And sometimes an ugly memory is the only thing keeping history from repeating itself. Know what I mean?
There.
This boon is yours. Your ability to adapt is becoming your greatest weapon. I'll tell you the next part of my story now, if you'll listen.
Go on.
Last thing I told you was that I'd become an apprentice to a mage healer of renown. I learned much from her, not just about the healing arts, but about how to live a complete life, a whole life, true to yourself. She was like a mother to me, which made it all the more painful when she too fell ill. It was the same illness that had taken my father. But this time would be different. It was my chance to apply everything she taught me to try and save her. Anyway, I think that's a good place to pause my story.
Sigrun, dear, as Kratos and I have been off the beaten path, so to speak, I'm curious as to the state of the realms.
Well, since my sisters and I returned to our old Valkyrie duties, the souls of the damned no longer find the gates of Helheim closed to them. So...
No more Hellwalkers spilling into the other realms? Grand!
I can't say no Hellwalkers are left in the realms, but there are fewer. Brassvelger seemed pleased. Or at least I think that's what her expression meant.
A flute? Oh, will you play a song, brother?
It was my daughter's. But I will tell you of it later. So, you told Sigrun you could not give her what she needed. You spoke out of cowardice.
Aye, obviously. But as prospects for terror go, can you imagine knowing all along you're not enough for someone? And then living out their slow realization of that truth? I admit it chilled me to the bone.
You presume to know how she will feel in the future. Why discredit her wishes and yours in the present?
I just can't pretend not to know better. She's romanticized the idea of us. Certainly I've done the same. But is that anything to build a future on? I mean, look at me, brother. Be practical.
If anyone else disparaged you as you disparaged yourself, I would wish to strike them with an axe. Now, back to Sigrun and your low opinion of yourself.
Look, brother, I don't apologize for wanting her to have someone who can be everything to her. She deserves the best.
Then why should she not deserve the smartest man alive?
Sometimes I think you've come too far, brother.
Did I overstep?
No, Kratos. I appreciate your point. And to be fair, if I was so right, then why am I so angry at myself?
I think I know why I fight Thor's sons.
Do tell.
Like Atreus, they were children of a destroyer. Had I not changed, had I raised him as I was raised, subject only to authority, perhaps his fate would have been no better than theirs.
So, they reflect a bad road not taken? A fate avoided?
Perhaps. I also feel pity. Failed by their father, sent to die by their uncle, and belittled in death by their grandfather. What chance did they ever have?
Am I hearing guilt, brother?
Some. Perhaps imagining a fair fight is to honor them as life did not.
The flute you found. You said it belonged to your daughter.
I carved it for her as a gift. She enjoyed playing and was skilled with it. It was a song she would play. One I used to remember every note of. But no longer.
Brother, if you mean to recount the story of the day you were tricked into killing your wife and daughter, you don't have to. You've told that story before. We know how it ends. You needn't relive it. That's not the story her flute brings to mind, is it?
No. Shield Maiden.
Use this. As you embody resilience and embrace change, Valhalla provides. I can continue my story now.
I am listening.
If you'll remember, my teacher had fallen ill. Everything she taught me, I poured into trying to save her. But it turned out mage healing wasn't enough. I realized that only a combination of mage healing and herbal traditions could save her. But I'd let my knowledge of the herbal arts fade away. And so, I failed her like I failed him. And she passed into Hell's embrace. It took a long time to get over that. Anyway, I'll stop here for now.
Milady, how is Alfheim these days? Does the peace hold?
It's tenuous, but holding. Endless war tends to breed quite a bit of mistrust. Thankfully, the elves, Bela and Bigvir, are in positions of influence due to their association with Freyr and involvement in Ragnarok. It's the best chance at lasting peace the realm has ever had.
What about the findings in the Consul's journal? Have they shared it with the rest of the elves?
Not yet, but give them time.
Calliope's flute again. Still on your mind, brother?
Yes. I will explain later.
Greetings, friends. Any questions before you get started?
I was wondering, actually. Did Odin ever try his hand at Valhalla?
Of course. He explored it very thoroughly, in seeking to gain control of the Valkyries. But in the end, he found nothing here he could use. You see, Odin always looked outside himself for answers. But Valhalla only reveals its secrets to those who do the work of looking within. Kratos, you mentioned a half-brother, Hercules.
He too was a son of Zeus. More like me than I care to admit. A powerful warrior, yes, but driven by an uncontrollable rage. He was jealous of me, thought I was Zeus's favorite. So, when the gods tasked him with 12 labors, he gave himself a 13th, killing me.
Instead, you took his life. Do you regret it?
No, he was dangerous. He wanted to be god of war for every reason but the right one.
Good. Credit to you for knowing the difference.
Mimir, the day my family died was not the last time I saw Calliope. I had journeyed to the underworld to rescue Helios. When I arrived, I heard Calliope's song on the wind and found her in the fields of Elysium. It had been long since I felt such joy. But it was another trick of the gods.
It wasn't her.
Worse. It was. The goddess of the underworld wished to destroy all of creation, Elysium included. She knew that for me to stand against her meant leaving Calliope behind forever. So, I pushed my daughter away again, all while she cried and begged me not to.
Come on! I lost focus that time. I yield, Kratos. I'll be here when you need me, waiting for another fight. Good luck to you.
You are proving yourself to Valhalla.
Suppose that was beneficial enough to do another.
Air.
A blessing. There is a secret weapon that turns challenges into triumph. And that is your ability to adapt. I'd like to finish my story for you now.
Go on.
As you recall, I failed my teacher and wasn't able to save her life. I'd let my aversion to my father's traditions stop me from being able to adapt to circumstances. After that, I spent many winters reconstructing his teachings, integrating them into my arsenal. I realized how important it was for me to practice techniques that don't come easy to me, or even ones I have every reason to hate and reject. Because then I'm armed for everything. Then I can adapt to whatever life throws at me. Anyway, that's my story.
Thank you, Air. I understand.
You are fighting your way deeper into Valhalla, Tim. Keep going.
Sigrun, been wondering. Are the remaining Vanir and Aesir playing nice in Vanaheim?
The Asgardian relocation hasn't exactly been smooth sailing. But Hildisvini and Lady Sif are keeping the ship headed in the right direction. The people seem to understand compromise is their best path to prosperity, at least.
Truth be told, I was hoping the old boar would have to call on me to smooth things over. But it's good to hear he and Sif have it under control.
Freya hopes they'll join the council once the peace settles.
Calliope's flute.
Whenever you're ready, brother. Take your time. Sigrun, been wondering. Are the remaining Vanir and Aesir playing nice in Vanaheim?
The Asgardian relocation hasn't exactly been smooth sailing. But Hildisvini and Lady Sif are keeping the ship headed in the right direction. The people seem to understand compromise is their best path to prosperity, at least.
Truth be told, I was hoping the old boar would have to call on me to smooth things over. But it's good to hear he and Sif have it under control.
Freya hopes they'll join the council once the peace settles.
Welcome back, my friends. Any questions as you go?
I've one. We were told only those who had died could enter Valhalla. But I don't ever recall hearing when you died.
A bit of a technicality, to be honest. It involved a workaround to regain the arm Garm bit off. Really only glancingly involved the underworld, but Valhalla seems to count it, I suppose.
I can't bear the thought of Sigrun having damaged herself to save us. Or having damaged her connection to Valhalla, which she'd doubtless say was worse.
Will there be consequences beyond her injuries?
I don't suppose I can be sure of that either way. But I'm certainly going to begin worrying about it now. Thank you kindly. Brother, the choice you were given? To stay in Elysium with your daughter only to perish? Sounds like no choice at all.
Of course it was a choice. One I wished many times I'd made differently.
How so?
When I left Greece, Calliope was never far from my mind. I do not know how much time we would have had together in Elysium, but I would have traded the decades that followed for mere hours with her. It took meeting Faye for that feeling to go away, along with Calliope's song. But I do still think of her in Elysium, and hope she found peace.
Your attempts are improving. You're making your way deeper into Valhalla. Keep at it.
Sigrun, love, what's the latest on Midgard?
Life returns at last. After the Hellwalker desolation was followed by Fimbulwinter, I wondered if people would ever come out of hiding, or if there were any left to. But flowers bloom, the sun shines, and it's safe to travel the roads and rivers again. No one even seems to mind the giant serpent sunning himself across the mountaintops.
Glad to hear it. Jormungandr's a big softy when you get to know him.
And now that things aren't quite so desperate, raider attacks have declined. It's progress.
You found the pendant of a necklace. Fancy.
I will tell you the pendant story soon. Did Valhalla return you to your forest last time?
Aye, brother. And this time I wasn't alone.
Were you attacked?
No, far from it. Apparently my Valhalla isn't the stuff of constant combat at all. The memories of mine it draws on are more interpersonal. To wit, I found myself reliving old times with my former crew of fairy folk. Cobweb, mustard seed, the whole pack of ne'er-do-wells. Such warm greetings for their old ringleader, like nary a day had passed.
Sounds pleasant.
Rather was, to be honest. I remain suspicious, but if this process is doing something for you, I remain open to seeing what it has in mind for me. The more that Valhalla makes me revisit my misadventures with Oberon, the more like a dream it all seems. Which is ironic. Back then in my youth, I could hardly bear to sleep. Then, with time, I came to value a proper night's rest. In captivity, it was nearly the only escape I knew. And then the need to sleep went away completely. And I don't miss the time lost, but damn it, brother, I do miss dreaming. The mind comes to terms with itself in ways only possible with your waking judgment out of the way. Our hidden desires, our anxieties, like a bifrost window to what's going on in your soul.
And Valhalla does the same.
Aye. And I don't think I realized how much I needed it. The pendant you found, brother. Do you recognize it? Does it have some significance?
Yes. It belonged to my wife.
It was Faye's.
No. My first wife, Lysandra.
Ah, I see. You know, brother, you've told me a great deal about your daughter, Calliope. But her mother is a bit of a mystery.
My thoughts on her are complicated. But she was a good woman, and I loved her more than she knew. She saw in me possibilities I could not at the time. In that way, she and Faye were much alike.
What is the state of Svartalfheim?
It's been tough. The dwarves had been under Odin's thumb for so long. Now they're having to completely reshape their economy to provide for themselves again. Many are looking to Durlin and other outcast members of the old resistance for guidance. But thus far, he's refusing the call. The wounds are deep and will take time to heal. Once they do, Freya thinks Durlin would be a welcome addition to the council.
Before you ask, yes, I was back in my old forest again. And this time I encountered my former boss, King Oberon. Rather eye-opening, actually. I used to be a true believer for him. Would have done anything he asked. But now I see through all that charisma and feigned wisdom down to the small, hypocritical tyrant I know him to be. Wait till I tell you what he put me up to regarding a particular magical flower.
You wish to tell a story of your first master.
Aye. Seems to be the very story Valhalla has me reliving, in fact. Oberon fancied himself a romantic, you see. Always claimed that love was more important to him than anything. One time, he led his entire entourage on a journey to attend the wedding of some duke or other, near your old neck of the woods. The groom, this lordly prick, had conquered a warrior queen and was marrying her as part of terms for peace. And this somehow was so romantic to Oberon that he dragged us across the sea to pay respects. Never mind, he was quarreling with his own queen the entire way! Well, I'll have more of that one, to be sure. As I was saying about my old master and his lofty, so-called romantic ideals, we'd settled in a forest outside of Athens, a place well situated to observing the comings and goings of the Duke's other guests. There we observed the romantic complications of some local youths, and Oberon gets it into his head to intervene. Bids me fetch him a magical flower that can manipulate the affections of others. Supposedly, the idea was to nobly help true love prevail over the pressure of family arrangements. But what he really wanted was to use the flower to torment his own wife.
I see why you left his service.
Aye. Your first wife, Lysandra, you said she saw possibilities in you that you didn't.
She suggested I did not have to be who I had chosen to be. That the carnage and suffering I inflicted on those my army conquered was a choice. That there was another way. I refused to see it then, thinking it was my duty to annihilate all that stood in the way of the Spartan Empire. I believed leaving foes alive simply invited potential uprisings later, that enemies could never be turned to friends. I was wrong.
Brother, while I'd love to say I left Oberon's service as a matter of principle, the truth is, it was much more a question of pride. If he'd simply shown me more appreciation, who knows how long I might have tolerated his evils. I certainly tolerated plenty from my subsequent employers before I could take no more. If I'm being honest, I was only too happy to offer my complicity in Queen Titania's humiliation.
What did you do?
I caused her to fall in love with something preposterous. An actor.
Your old master. He had you make his wife fall in love with another.
Aye, temporarily, by use of this magic flower. Though now it's clear to me the flower's effect isn't love exactly, but a kind of obsessive devotion that is too often mistaken for love. So of course the Queen made a fool of herself, as did all those under the flowers spell that night. Don't know how I ever got embroiled in such a farce.
You are wiser now.
I think so. Though that only makes up for so much past stupidity. Lysandra was clearly important to you. Why did you say your feelings for her were complicated?
Because she was a good wife, and I was not a good husband. I refused to listen, to heed her advice. I commanded armies, had responsibilities to them I thought greater than those to her. But that was hubris, an ambition. The truth is, it never even crossed my mind to consider her advice or needs. So, when I think of her, I can only see my failures. She deserved better from me. And that was long before my oath to Ares led to...
All that was to follow. I understand, brother. Sigrun, I wanted to tell you, Valhalla keeps sweeping me away to my own adventure in memory.
I wondered if it would. That's wonderful. What is it showing you?
Some particular events of my wayward youth. But they're in a loop of sorts. Not sure I've quite gleaned what it all amounts to.
Then you must do what you do in Valhalla. Keep going.
Sigrun has been important to you for as long as I have known you. What happened in the beginning?
Oh, it's a typical enough story. A boy meets girl, girl fulfills her ambition to transcend the physical plane and become a Valkyrie of Valhalla. One day, Sigrun quietly arrived from Fjotorlund and began serving as Freya's handmaiden while she undertook training for the Sisterhood. I don't even think we were introduced. I just see her around the court. Of course, I'd observed her loveliness and impressive stature, but long before we fell to talking. But we seemed cut from different cloth, I suppose. Never occurred to me we'd get along as well as we did.
Sigrun, how was it you first spoke?
Back when Freya was queen in Asgard, the better times, I mean, there really began to be some culture around the place. Poets, musicians, the odd contortionist would pay visits, perform, mingle. On one occasion, I'd taken a seat expecting to see this balladeer of the lowlands, when Sigrun walked in. Somehow more stunning than I'd ever seen her. And when of all places she chose to sit next to me, well, a lot of very interesting things happened very quickly. But I may need to collect my thoughts while you get us killed again.
Let us get back to the memories of Sigrun. She sat beside you.
Yes, she chose to sit next to me. No big thing, really. Yet, somehow, despite myself, I felt a rush in my stomach like I was a green lad again. Embarrassing at the end of the day, to be so simple. I made some remark, and I learned how it felt to make her laugh. And suddenly I felt more at ease. Almost eerily so. A calm within each other's storms, I suppose.
Faye had a way of describing that. Peace dwells among us.
Lovely, brother. That's exactly right.
Mimir, you may speak more of coming to know Sigrun.
Right. Where were we? After the ice was broken, we fell to talking more regularly, even making a point to do so. It was all I could do to enjoy her company responsibly, staying mindful of our respective positions and keep from crossing any line that would make things difficult for us to recover from.
Wise.
Well, mostly. I'm always wisest in the parts I let myself remember.
Mimir, what happened next with Sigrun?
She had introduced me as a good friend. And though I couldn't be entirely sure what she meant by it, for once I wasn't concerned with an outcome. Regarding Sigrun, I knew my answer was yes. The question itself seemed secondary.
You were not upset she called you friend.
Show me someone for whom friendship means lack of love, and I'll show you someone who wonders why their lovers never end up being worth their time.
Perhaps. But you did not express your feelings.
Oh, I don't think she could have escaped noticing them. I just never asked her anything I felt sure she'd have to refuse.
Your relationship with Sigrun. Why so reluctant to tell her how you felt?
She was on the Valkyrie's path, preparing to transcend her corporeal form. That was her focus, her chosen purpose, and I didn't want to suggest myself as an obstacle. I suppose I let some part of myself imagine she might recognize my affection, even reciprocate it. But now that we know what she was running from, obviously she'd never again risk choosing love over duty. A unique, heartfelt friendship, that is what could endure, and that is what I chose to embrace.
Mimir, can you hear me? Has my voice broken through?
Sigrun? Yes! Hello! How are you talking to... How long have you been able
I
to hear?
haven't been listening to you. There's just something I needed to tell you. Valhalla is displeased with me. It wishes a penance of sorts. Trials to reforge my loyalty. I haven't decided what to do, but I hoped we could talk about it.
Aye, let's do. Next time we die, or Kratos gets a headache.
Tyr, when you came here long ago, was it for this same decision?
Not exactly. I was already god of war when I began the process. I was having a crisis of sorts. Doubting my abilities, my resolve. Doubting I could live up to the way some saw me. I was thinking of walking away. But then I learned of this place. I knew I owed it to myself, and to the Nine Realms, to take the challenge, to look within, and find my truth.
Lucky thing. Without you keeping Odin in check as long as you did, I can only imagine how much worse things might have turned out.
Mimir, you asked of Odin's efforts to conquer Valhalla and the Valkyries with it. But was Valhalla not his creation, along with all of Asgard?
Well, he certainly liked people to think so. And Valhalla served his interests, even if he left the Valkyries to do their work. But in fact, Valhalla and the Order of Valkyries are a force more primordial than any he could hope to bend to his own personal loyalty. Sigrun, what's this about Valhalla questioning your loyalty? I thought everything was all right.
It is. For you are alive, and I am no longer in pain. But my transgression was not without consequences. Valhalla has penalized me. I could not enter now if I wanted to. In fact, I am not sure if it will welcome me in death.
What? That can't be right. No one's more worthy of Valhalla than you. You can't have sacrificed that for my sake. It's not fair.
There's no blame to place here. When you do what you know is right in your heart, the results are not always what you hope for. That doesn't mean it was the wrong decision. Now please, we've kept Kratos long enough from his journey. I insist. Go. We'll talk more. Mimir? I've been thinking a lot about the costs and risks of what Valhalla would put me through to affirm my loyalty. It's enough to make me question not my love of this place, but is it really what's most important to me? If I can't answer that, then perhaps I am not ready for such a decision.
Then you should take all the time you need. Absolutely. If Valhalla isn't what you truly need, then you have a rare opportunity to reassess your priorities.
I'm glad you agree. Mimir, I had a thought. What you said to me, that you didn't think you could give me what I needed.
Aye.
I've been trying to figure out why you'd say such a thing. I know you don't say things without a reason, even if you don't know what it is at first. But I think I figured it out. It's not that there is anything lacking in you. It's that in the end, nobody can give me everything I need to be happy. Not even Valhalla. That's something I have to give myself. And to do that...
You need to find yourself. It's true. And we're saying that's what I meant all along? Well, clever, eh?
such demands so as to give me doubts. Long ago, I gave myself completely to love, and it destroyed my home and family. Then I threw myself into the service of Valhalla and found a new family in my sisters. But what if that's not where my story ends? It's time I finally found my path. Not because it may or may not be Valhalla's will, or Freya's, or yours, my dear, but my own.
Well said, love.
I've come to a decision. At least for the time being, I'm going to step back from the price Valhalla has asked of me.
Good for you, Seagrim.
I think maybe it's time I traveled. Experienced these realms and the lands beyond, not as Valhalla's enemy, but as a person.
That's perfect. You've always dreamed of a grand sea voyage, seeing the world. Perhaps I could go with you. I've been told I'm a useful guide.
Perhaps. But let's not distract Kratos further.
I'm having a bit of a sinking feeling that Seagrim doesn't want me traveling with her.
You knew that before you asked.
Did I, brother?
You know the journey she seeks. It is the one you took, and I took. The kind that brings you to the tests you need. The kind you take alone.
It's true. I gave in to a weakness. Even now, there's some part of me that just wants to tell her how much I love her and beg her to stay. But that's bloody selfish. I need to do better than that. Where could Seagrim be? I was hoping we'd talk further.
Mimir,
Seagrim?
about my journey. I need to take some time to understand who I am without wings and helms and missions, and without the lovely man with whom the timing has yet to work out.
Are you sure we couldn't discuss this face to face?
I wasn't sure I could say the words if I had to look at your face.
Just promise you'll let me see you off. I won't have you setting sail without my blessing. And not that you need it.
Of course.
Have you a blessing to offer her?
I'll be combing Valhalla for one. Still no Seagrim. You don't suppose she's avoiding me?
No.
Brother, the last time Valhalla spirited me away to the forest, there was an interesting twist. As the revels ended, I found myself alone, still carrying the magic love flower, and I came upon a sleeping person. But it wasn't the queen, or the foolish youths. It was Seagrim, as I knew her before. I found myself faced with the proposition that with a few drops, I could make her care about nothing in the world so much as me.
What did you do?
I'm pleased to report that I crushed that flower with my bare hands.
I am glad to hear it.
You're way deeper into Valhalla.
Seagrim, listen. You have choices ahead of you that none but you can make. I'll always be there for you when you need me. And if what you ever need is for me to let you go, then damn it, I'd find a way. But whatever comes, I just want you to put yourself first for once. You're so much more than any office, any title, any function. And I can't wait to see who else you may become.
I'm so relieved you understand. Now that Kratos has found answers to his questions, I believe my service here is done. Arrangements are being made. Please, continue to seek what more you would seek within. I promise, I won't just disappear.
How are you faring, Mimir? I know Sigrun's decision must be different. May I ask, deep down, what is it she means to you?
So much of everything good in what I am is only due to my wanting to be the person she saw me as. Take her out of the equation, and I wonder if I'd ever have stopped being a scoundrel in service of scoundrels.
Love can make us wish to improve. I was changed by what Faye saw in me. But losing her did not put an end to who I had become. Her inspiration remains.
Aye. I suppose being the person they turned us into is a way to keep them with us. Honor the impact they had on us.
Mimir, what you said about love turning you into a better person. I wonder, what if that better person was within you all along, but you could only see it once it was reflected in another? As though love is the feeling of recognizing the potential in our own soul.
You mean to say falling in love is really only about ourselves?
Not only that, one hopes, but the more we can own the part that is about ourselves, the more we can see others for who they really are, and love them, truly, in whatever form that takes.
Kratos, my time to depart draws near. The ways of Valhalla are familiar to you both now. You may continue and return as you desire. I'll wait for you on the beach.
We'll be there, Sigrun.
Are you all right?
Aye, brother. I feel a pain in an organ I no longer possess, but the sooner she sets off, the sooner she may return.
Thank you for keeping an eye on them. And thank you.
My sister, Sigrid. Whether Valkyrie, Shield Maiden, or whatever else you should call yourself in time, I shall always be your sister. Do you hear me?
I hear you.
So this is it then?
For now. For however long.
Good. I mean, I'll miss you more than I can say, but whatever we ever were, or weren't, or might have been if the timing weren't just so... I need you to know that it mattered. All of it. Knowing you helped make me a person I can stand to be. And all I want for you in exchange is... everything.
I can't imagine a world in which I don't end up very close with you, my love. But let me come back to you whole. Let me come back not needing anyone to tell me what I need to be happy.
I can't begrudge you getting to know yourself. After all, it's been one of the great pleasures of my life.
Farewell, Sigrun, and good luck.
Thank you, Kratos. Farewell, my friends.
Fair winds, my love.
Shall we occupy our minds?
Aye. Not sure I'll feel like talking much more today, but let's focus on the work.